Oh, yes, it's the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube and subscribe to the podcast on any and all platforms. Today, we are covering Monday Night Raw's Raw After Wrestlemania extravaganza. I don't normally do Raw recaps, but I felt this one was necessary. I had thoughts on the show post WrestleMania. Obviously, there was a lot happening last weekend with, WrestleMania taking over the weekend, and it was fantastic. And then the news on Monday that WWE was sold to Endeavor, and a whole new corporation was starting, and Vince was going to run that. And there was a lot of, speculation as to how that would pan out on the show, especially the news that Vince was back in creative in some form or fashion. He was non-committal on CNBC, but I mean, liars are gonna lie. And then here comes the Raw After WrestleMania, where we were, greeted at the start of the show by Triple H, who had like a rousing welcome, and he just came out, thanked everybody, and said, we know you've heard the news that WWE was sold. I'm paraphrasing. He's like, but trust us, no, we're not going anywhere. Everything's gonna remain the same. And then he proceeded to put on one of the worst Raws that I've seen in a very, very long time. It was terrible. First of all, they didn't announce that Raw's first hour would be commercial free. If they did, I missed it, but I was watching from the start and no one said anything. So I was just awkwardly watching Raw with no commercial breaks, which is weird when you aren't expecting it. So Cody Rhodes comes out, does his Cody Rhodes thing, which I'm rapidly becoming tired of. Cody just kind of screaming at people about stories and he deserves this and he had this in the bag, and he said something that was weird. He's like, we're here and I fought you two last night already, so we might as well make it a tag match. Let's do something right here, right now. And it was just such an awkward, like, whiny way to get a match. It wasn't befitting of the, Cody Rhodes that we've come to know and tolerate. But regardless, Brock Lesnar came out, and then that was their whole shtick. Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar versus Solo and Roman Reigns. At the end of the night, they pitched it all night. It was actually an exciting match to have. I was like, when was the last time when was the last time Brock Lesnar had a tag partner? And then my daughter looked up at me. She's like, are you talking to me? And I was like, no, baby, I'm just kind of talking into the ether. And she was like, oh, okay. Because why would she know? And the time between the announcement of that and the ending of Raw, everything in between was this odd mishmash of underperforming weirdness compared to, other Raws that we've seen. And I have an episode in the bank about Triple H's booking versus Vince's booking, and I'm going to post that. I'm going to post a lot of episodes today. But it was very evident here that the hand of Vince had come down, or the pressure got to Triple H and he reverted back to old booking styles, because after Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar and the Bloodline left the ring, and the camera kind of just lingered on the stadium, and I was like, why aren't they cutting the commercial? Out comes Omos, to nobody's excitement. The crowd was silent, and it could have been production lowering the crowd volume because they were cursing and kind of cussing at Roman Reigns prior. It could have been that, or it could have been nobody wanted to see Omos wrestle. I didn't expect to see Omos so quickly after his relatively okay match at WrestleMania, but here he is. And then out pops Elias, and we're like, oh God, we know exactly how this is going to go. And Omos proceeded to just batter Elias. What do they have against Elias exactly? What is the people in the back? Is he getting, does he have heat backstage? Does he have just detractors? Do people not like Elias? Because that man can't put wins together at all. He didn't make it to WrestleMania. He didn't even make it to the mid-match of the Battle Royale. I think he got tossed out relatively quickly by Legado del Fantasma. But yeah, he just got battered. He even looked miserable out there. He's like, I don't want to be out here. And it was a squash match of epic proportion. No one cared. And then, again, the camera just lingered on Raw. And then just a parade of nonsense happened. The two women's champs came out and talked about a match that isn't happening, that might happen somewhere down the line. Pointless. Damage Control took another L, and like after a huge WrestleMania loss to a team that was put together on SmackDown for just for the sake of the Fatal 4-Way. They lost to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, a team that has had maybe 3 matches together and don't fit together at all. They beat Damage Control, the former tag team champions, and then are now getting a shot at Lita and Becky Lynch. Bonkers. Damage Control is done. We're done with this, right? All 3 of those women need to be treated better. Get out of here with that. What's his name? Seth Rollins came out and just stood in the ring while everyone sang at him. It got so awkward for me, I had to mute it, and I went and threw out the trash. I was like, well, the trash has to go out today, so let me go do that while this weird thing happens. It was weird. And then as he's doing that, they cut to backstage where Bobby Lashley gets into an altercation with Bronson Reed and Mustafa Ali, who then Mustafa gets smashed again, just gets tossed outside, pinned immediately by Bobby Lashley. What do they have against Ali? Again, there have to be people who take L's. They have to be jobbers. You can't 50-50 book everybody, right? You can't just book someone to lose and then win the next week. People have to lose. But give these guys something, anything. Ridiculous what happened to Ali. And it's just echoes, shades of, Raw's past. These squash matches, these 1 or 2 minute matches, but then they have these long, drawn out vignettes. Austin Theory had a good match with Rey Mysterio, which was beset on both sides by a lot of talking and then a lot of setup for Backlash, where probably an interesting match between Bad Bunny and Rey versus Dominic and what's that guy's name? Damian Priest. Could be interesting at Backlash. Bad Bunny is not a terrible wrestler for a celebrity. But I'm struggling to remember a lot of what happened because a lot of it was very inconsequential. Riddle returned during a Miz promo. Miz has been getting interrupted for the past 3 days. It's old now. And then he took another beating from Riddle quickly. Like it was such a fast turnaround where Riddle came out, the Miz tried to attack him, Riddle turned the tide, hit him with whatever his finishing move is called, and then the camera just cut away to something else. They were all just kind of plodding towards this match between the Bloodline and Cody and Brock, which when it shows up on TV, we don't even get the match. 2 swerves in a row. Brock Lesnar turns on Cody and just whoops his ass for literally 20 minutes. Like the match started at I think 10:40 Eastern time, and then he didn't stop whooping his ass until it went off of the air at 11 p.m. Ridiculous. So we didn't even get the match that we were promised at the beginning of the show, and then everything in between was just like, we have to fill time to get there. Nothing, no new call-ups, no new storylines, no momentum carried from WrestleMania. Oh, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens beat up on the Street Profits, who cannot get these tag titles. They cannot. It's just they just wasted their tag team opportunity right there. What a terrible Raw. I am so disappointed I had to record a podcast about it. Anyway, how did you feel about Raw after WrestleMania? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit that bell, subscribe, tell a friend or two because, well, I'm your friend.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.